Video, let us learn how to perform HTTP GET operation in our Angular application. In Angular application, we have to use HTTP client, and HTTP client performs GET method. Look the syntax of this method. First parameter is URL, pass the URL, and then options in which headers, observe, params, report progress, boolean value, response type, and with credentials. So we can pass these parameters, and these are the optionals. And this will return observable of the type we need. Let's see the examples. To use HTTP client in our application, first step is in application config, we have to use provide HTTP client. This is the first step. I am using in-memory web API to test our application. So to use HTTP client, first step is use provide HTTP client. Import it from Angular Common HTTP. This is the first step. Now go to your service class, inject the HTTP client using constructor. Look at this. Private HTTP client. In this way, we got the instance of HTTP client. HTTP client you can get from Angular Common HTTP. Now I will create some methods to perform HTTP operations. Look at here. This is the first method in which I am getting all the writers. Suppose I have data like this. Writers. There are two writers basically. So the first method is get all writers. Here I am using HTTP headers. You can use HTTP headers in this way. Create the instance of HTTP headers and then pass as an option to HTTP GET method. So first parameter is URL, REST web service URL, and second parameter you have to pass the object of headers response type. If you don't pass these things, the default values will be passed. So the response will be as a JSON, and then perform the return type. If it contains the array, then specify here this is the array of writer, so I have used it as an array, and this will return observable of array of writer. So our method is returning like this, observable of array of writer. Okay, if you want to pass the parameters, use HTTP params, set id. This is the method basically find writer by id, so I have to pass the id. Then here HTTP get, this will give only one writer, so this is the URL and the option key as a params, and then pass this subject here. Okay, one more method I have, find writer by name. What I am doing here, there are two parameters, the same approach. So in this way we can pass headers and use response type, and we can pass HTTP params. Now we will use these service methods in our component. The first method is find writer by name and city. So what I am doing here, that I am passing name and city and I'm subscribing here. This will return the observable of writer array. Look at this method. Find writer by name and city. In our service class, find writer by name and city. This is returning observable array of writer. So we can subscribe it. It has three parameters: next, error, and complete. So in the next part, we will get the data error if there is an error, and the complete, this part will run in every case, and error will run if there is an error in next. So we can access our data from response using subscribe. We can also use async pipe. Look at this. This is the method to get all the writers. By service, I am calling find all writers. Find all writers. This is returning observable of writer array. So I am assigning it into a component property, all writers, and then go to the HTML template. Here, iterate it. Okay, and use async pipe in this way, because all writers is the property, and use the @ for w of all writers, then pipe async, and then track this variable, and then access the values. ID name city I have created here, ID name city. So in this way, this will iterate and print the values. Let's run it. Let's run the application. This is the output. In the console, we have printed the values from here. I have printed here, so I am getting this value. Okay, and one more, writer by ID, I have subscribed it, and we can see these values here. So in this way, we can use our HTTP client get method. Okay, thank you.